Welcome to Braveheart, the podcast dedicated to honoring
Riverside
heroes, both
FM.
human and animal, personal heroes, national heroes, and unknown heroes. These courageous souls risk their lives so others can live, and it's our mission to give them the recognition and respect they truly deserve. These are the stories we want to tell. Stay tuned and be inspired.
I'm Elizabeth Libert, and I live in Idaho. I'm excited to be here. I love true stories. One of my favorite things to do is to watch movies based on true stories and to read nonfiction novels.
I'm Michelle Montek. I'm from Arizona, and I just love animals and rescue stories and heroes and stuff like that. So that's what I
And we're sister-in-laws.
Yes, and we're sister-in-laws. All right.
Yeah.
So this story or this podcast with the 4th of July coming up is kind of more patriotic war themed, if you will. All right. So I'll go with the first story. So to start out, I got this information from mountvernon.org. We're going to kind of learn a little bit more about George Washington to start out with. So George Washington was born on February 22nd in 1732. And in 1951, he took a trip to Barbados with his older half-brother, Lawrence Washington. This was his only time ever leaving mainland North America. Well, while he had fun in Barbados, he also caught smallpox. Now, luckily for him, he did survive, as we know, and he recovered. And this would prove very beneficial for us and America and him, but especially because now he was immune to smallpox. So in all the war, when that was killing all these people, he was immune. So he was lucky for that. He married Martha Washington on January 6th in 1759. And they were married for 40 years and they had no children. But he had two stepchildren that Martha had from her previous marriage, which her husband died.
I didn't know that he didn't have any kids of his own.
Yeah, no biological children. And he had with only the two children, he had a good amount of great grandchildren.
Maybe I just didn't pay attention in high school.
Yeah,
but
no, I must have not either. I heard that. I was like, he was commander-in-chief for the Continental Army in 1775. And he was inaugurated for the first time being president, April 30th of 1789. And he was unanimously elected president of the United States twice. He died December 14th in 1799 at the age of 67 from acute bacteria epiglottis, or a throat infection. So so he loved dogs. He had mainly greyhounds, spaniels, terrier, Newfoundlands, and a lot of other toy breeds. And every day he would go to the kennels and visit his dogs, and he named every single one of them. Some of the names were Madame Moose, Drunkard, Vulcan, Taster, Duchess, and True Love. Now,
Taster. Wow.
Taster. Yeah, he got real creative.
Taster. I think he was pretty lucky.
Yeah, Drunkard.
Drunkard.
So now we're going to kind of get into the story. So he not only loved his dogs, but he just kind of loved dogs in general. And on October the 4th, in the year 1777, a deep fog covered the battlefield. Soldiers were not even able to see right in front of them, and everyone was just kind of shooting from both sides, and even shooting their own sides and shooting their own people. It was just kind of like a mess. So among these soldiers was a little four-legged fellow, and this little guy, a fox terrier named Lila. Actually, I guess it was a girl. It says little guy, but her name was Lila. So, but belonged to, and this dog belonged to the British General William Howe. And the dog got disoriented in the battle and actually followed the Continental soldiers home from the battle. And after reading his name tag, George Washington knew who this dog belonged to. General Howe loved this dog. It was with him all the time. Now, what would you do if you found the enemy's dog?
I'd probably just return the dog. Be like, call him up, be like, your dog followed me home, bro.
Right.
Like,
Awkward,
come get your dog. Like, I found your dog.
Right, and that's actually what Washington did. So Washington would not let anyone harm the dog, and he had his aide de camp, the one and only Alexander Hamilton, write the
Oh.
following message. General Washington compliments to General Howe. He does himself the pleasure to return him a dog, which accidentally fell into his hands, and by this the inscription on the collar appears to belong to General Howe. And they return the dog back to his rightful owner. So that's the story. He was a nice guy, returned the dog.
I just kind of thought that letter. What was it again? What was the exact phrase? General Washington.
Compliments to General Howe.
Compliments to General Howe. Well,
Yes.
like just the way that he said it, or the way that it was phrased. I know that they spoke differently. The culture was more proper English, or more European English back then, but it just kind of makes me think like passive aggressive, like I
Right?
acquired your dog somehow.
But I'm being a
to return your dog.
Yeah. And he didn't write it himself. He had Alexander Hamilton write it for him.
Which he was very well known for his writing.
Yeah. So he's probably like, General Washington's like, bro, you got this. Like,
yeah, he's like, I don't know what to say.
yeah.
That's funny. That's awesome. Okay, well, do you want me to do one, or do you want to do both of yours?
You can do one now.
Okay, sounds good. Well, I chose another animal. I think all of ours are animals, right, for this episode?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, okay. Mine is the messenger pigeon. Sherry. Oh, I did not actually look up how to say this. Let me look it up real quick so I don't butcher it.
This pigeon's got a
This pigeon. This pigeon has history, guys.
got a fancy name.
Well, I don't want to like have it be fancy and then slaughter it and then have it all these people like like right.
That is not how you say it.
See it. Okay, sorry guys. All our people, meaning
All our people.
okay. Cher Ami is how you say it. Cher Ami. It's French. Cher Ami is a messenger pigeon from World War One. And it is not hypothesized, but not all the sources are claiming the same information. But the story is that on October 4th, 1918, that Cher Ami was the last homing pigeon, the last pigeon in what was called the Lost Battalion. And this battalion was surrounded by German troops. And they were actually taking on friendly fire from their fellow brethren. The General Whitsley, is that how you say it? I don't remember how to say it. But he sent a message to the battalion that was looking for them to stop firing at them because it was them and they had been lost for some time. And Cher Ami arrived to that battalion who was firing at the Lost Battalion with a deep wound in his chest and a mangled right leg that appeared to be from shrapnel or bullets that had hit the pigeon. But the pigeon had successfully carried its message to the other general, and they were able to cease fire upon the Lost Battalion, and the Lost Battalion was able to be relieved from their position in the war. And actually, Cher Ami was awarded the French award, the Croix de Guerre. Well, I do not speak French, which is a French award for bravery in combat. So, yeah. It's freaking cool. Okay.
That pigeon deserves retirement, deserves that medal.
I know, right? Honestly, if I got shot in the chest and had my right leg amputated eventually, then I would want a medal.
Right? They should have given us lots of food.
I know, right? Yeah, treat reward. Food is rewarding. Come on, guys. But because of Cher Ami's wound to his right leg, he ended his service for the military. And he returned to the United States in April of that year, or in April of 1919. And then he actually died in June, just a few months later, because from complications from his injuries. But after he died, he was conducted into the Racing Pigeon Hall of Fame. And he's currently taxidermied at the Smithsonian Museum.
Dang.
Yeah.
That's kind of
So that's
cool.
actually-
Cher Ami lives on.
Right? I got all this information from their website.
Okay, cool. All right. Ready for my second story? Okay, this I got
So
from
ready.
historyfacts.com. All right. So the year was 1914, and the Great War was raging on. The war was hitting every corner of the world, and everyone was feeling it, and it was no different for General Jack Seeley of Canada. He left his home to take command of the Canadian Cavalry Corps and took with him his beloved stallion named Warrior. Now, this horse braved the Western Front with him and saw many battles. Over the course of 4 years, he served with General Seeley. He served in battles such as the Battle of Somme, Somme, Ypres, Cambrai, and Passchendaele. In 1918 was arguably the most important battle of not only these two people's lives, but for World War One. The Battle of Amiens against the Germans. And this was like really the crucial turning point of the whole World War. Now, for some facts about this, it was the largest tank battle of the war, and 400 tanks were used by the Allies. The Canadian troops pushed the Germans back 8 miles in the first day, and sadly, they also lost 11,500 troops doing this. But they were able to capture over 12,000 Germans on that first day.
What?
Yeah, like this was like they called it the Black Day of the Germans. Like the Germans general, they called it the Black Day of for the Germans. Like it was like bad. And
That's
this
crazy.
attack that they did was secret even among most of the allies. Like nobody knew that they were going to attack on this day, which is probably what made it as successful as it was. So, through the course of the 4 years in service, Warrior never gave up or backed down. He survived being buried in mud and rubble, trapped in burning stables, and charged through barricades under machine gun fire and mortar shells. He became known as the horse that the Germans couldn't kill. So, after his honorable service, both Warrior and General Seeley were able to return home to the Isle of Wight. This famous and loved stallion lived out the rest of his days peacefully and happy until 1941, where he died of old age at 32.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's old for a horse.
Yeah. And so, yeah, he was foaled in on the Isle of Wight in 1908 and was a thoroughbred gelding. And in 1943, Britain established a medal for the acts of bravery and its highest honors of an animal can receive, and it's called the PSDA Dickin Medal, or also known as the Animal Victoria Cross. And Warrior's the only recipient to predate the medal's institution, and he was chosen to receive the honor on behalf of all the brave animals that served in World War One.
Oh,
Right? Good old
just made my heart
Warrior.
happy.
Right?
So cool.
Yeah.
Wow, that's so crazy. I cannot believe some of the things that animals have done
Yeah.
for us.
I'm like, okay, if I was a horse and I got buried under rubble, like I don't think I'd want to go back into war or like burning and it said burning stables. So like is that more than one stable that he was put in that
yeah,
had burnt down? Like
did it happen more than once?
right?
It's
Man.
concerning. Wow, that's so cool though. Wow, thanks,
Yeah.
Warrior. That's a
Right?
cool name too, Warrior.
Right? And he had the name before the war, so
It was his destiny.
it was his destiny.
That's awesome. Okay, well, the last story that we have before we do some of our questions to kind of get to know us and talk a little bit more, is about Wojtek the bear. So Wojtek the bear actually was involved in World War II, and I was shocked to learn that a Syrian brown bear was part of a troop in World War II.
Yeah.
So the backstory behind how that kind of happened was the Polish were in Iran for part of World War II to fight the Nazi influence in Iran, which I didn't know that was
Yeah.
part of World War II. That
Yeah.
was news to me. So in 1942, they were there to fight the Nazis, and they traded a Arab boy, a Swiss Army knife, canned beef, and chocolate for a Syrian brown bear cub that had been abandoned by its mother.
Dang.
So this artillery group had traded for the brown bear to just have as like a pet.
Because like why not?
And they right, yeah, obviously. What else are we gonna do? Fight a war?
Yes.
Not that they weren't doing that. But so they raised this cub and they use an empty vodka bottle to feed this cub. Yeah. They fed him, right? They fed him fruit, honey, marmalade, and a bunch of other things. And Wojtek, the name that they gave him, actually means joyful warrior in Polish. Yeah,
That's
I
pretty
thought it was really
fancy.
neat. Yeah. So Wojtek actually trained with the troops, and in their free time, he would also engage in the activities with the servicemen. They would wrestle with him. They
Gosh.
would box with him.
Dang.
Imagine wrestling with a brown bear.
Man. You know, at
I'll
what
pass.
age, right? At what age you're like, okay, bro, this is
Yeah, but
might be a little
actually, the wrestling continues throughout his life. They do this throughout his
dang.
life. Yeah. They would also give him, the servicemen would also give him treats. Treats for them specifically that they really enjoyed, but he also really enjoyed them. They give him beer and cigarettes and candy. Yeah, and he enjoyed them.
Wow.
And the article that I read also mentioned that he never really seems to, the servicemen never noticed him seeming intoxicated from the alcohol.
Apparently bears
So
can't get drunk.
I'm not sure how much they gave him either.
Right.
But, I mean, it is a depressant, so I mean, eventually I'm sure it would take effect. But
Right.
yeah. But and actually they would also treat him to like really cold, long showers in the shower room. And at one point he was like cut off for his shower, the amount that he could like get in the water and shower, because they were running low on water because they're in Iran. And it's not, from what
Water's
I
not
understand.
plentiful.
Maybe yeah, maybe I'm just naive and ill-informed, but water is not very bountiful there. Anyway, so actually one day they had been closing the shower door so that he couldn't get in. And one day the door was open, and Warshek saw that it was open, and he had meandered in there. And in there was an Arab man who was spying on the Poles, and he was trying to figure out where their arsenal was so that they could attack. Yeah. And the Arab man freaked out, and he ran into the Poles because Warshek came in. And I mean, Wojtek, it didn't mention, the article I read didn't mention that he did anything, but the man was just like, bear,
Man, they have a bear. We're done. I'm done. I
I'm
surrender.
done. Took me.
Yeah, I would too.
So, right? Like, what would you do if, like, I mean, he's not showering, but like, what would you do if you were like in the shower and a bear
Spine.
came in?
Yeah, like I would be freaking out because I mean, especially he doesn't know it's their pet. Like this brown bear just comes at you. Yeah, I would surrender and scream, please don't let me get eaten by this bear.
I mean, and brown bears aren't small either.
No, yeah.
Oh, they're big. So yeah, that was interesting. But after that, not too long after that encounter, the troop got moved to Italy to help with the war on the Italian front. But in order to keep Wojtek with them, he had to be enlisted because pets weren't allowed in the military. So they enlisted him, and he received the he received the title of Private Wojtek. And it is said, it's allegedly he carried artillery to and from treks to the troops, to help with the war.
That's
And
awesome.
he was eventually promoted to corporal.
Dang.
Right? Yeah.
Wow.
And Wojtek, as they were starting to demobilize the troops and stuff, him and his servicemen, they got sent to Scotland. And there he worked on a farm and he helped carry fence posts to the servicemen as they helped building the fence. And then as they continued to demobilize the troops, the troops were really concerned. They were like, we don't want him to go back to Poland because we don't want him to become propaganda and exploited. And eventually they decided to put him in the Edinburgh Zoo. So
Wow.
he lived out the rest of his days in the Edinburgh Zoo. And the servicemen would actually come visit him, and they would bring, yeah, right? They would bring him candy and beer and cigarettes, and they would even wrestle with him in the zoo.
Wow. You know, man, I wonder, like, I mean, would they hold the cigarette for him, or was the bear like,
I don't know. Or is he eating them? Like,
oh, just like eating them? Yeah.
maybe. I don't know. Like, yeah, is he like smoking
Oh,
it through his nose?
right?
I have no idea. I
Dang.
the way that a brown bear uses a cigarette, I have not a clue. Maybe we should ask Tooth and Claw. Be like,
Right.
how would Wojtek that?
Tell me.
Do you think he just ate them, or do you think he was smoking them? Because but Wojtek, he died in 1963. And there actually is one documentary about him, and there is also an animated film that's only about 30 minutes long. I didn't have a chance to watch them before we did this, but it's on my list. There are also 3 statues. There's one in Krakow, Poland, one in Dun, Scotland, and one in Edinburgh, Scotland, to honor
Wow.
and recognize Wojtek the bear.
That is awesome. Way to go. Sweet. All these brave animals.
Those are so fun. Those are fun stories. I like
Those
those.
are. Those are awesome. Okay, so now we're getting to what I call the brave and bonkers. So this is just like would you rather questions. Okay. So
Okay.
would you rather be stuck in a tree with a panicked cat or a tunnel with a nervous raccoon?
Tunnel with a nervous raccoon or stuck in a tree with a nervous cat?
Panicked cat. Panicked cat.
Panicked cat. Shoot. I mean, I kind of want to risk the rabies and go for the raccoon.
Yeah, see, I think I would too. Like a cat, a
Because,
tree, I don't know.
like, even just the little bit of experience I had with nervous cats in Thailand when I did my study abroad, like when we were, for those of you that don't know, I was in Thailand for 2 weeks doing a study abroad, for veterinary medicine. And we had the opportunity to help perform surgeries, spay and neuters. And just getting those cats ready with like anesthesia and stuff, man, freak, those cats are terrible.
Yeah. No, yeah,
They're
cats
gonna
are
kill me.
crazy. Yeah.
I'll take the raccoon, hands down.
Although the raccoons with their little human
like-
hands kind of freak me out a little bit.
Little bandit, like.
Yeah. Yeah, but I'm with you. I think I would choose the raccoon.
And I know, like, I mean, they might be rabid, but like, I think I'll risk the $10,000 it'll cost me to get, or $10,000+ it'll take for me
Right?
to get the rabies
Because I mean, cat scratch fever, like that's crazy.
Well, my grandma was in the ICU too after her cat bit her.
Yeah.
So, I'm taking the raccoon.
Tanner, my husband, on his mission, he knew someone that I think it was one of his companions was scratched by a cat by the ear, when he was a kid and lost his hearing and had to have like cochlear implants because of it.
Yeah. They've got some nasty bacteria.
Gross. All right. Question 2. Would you rather be rescued from a mountain by a team of squirrels wearing tiny little uniforms or from the ocean by synchronized swimming seals?
Oh, squirrels, hands down.
Yeah, cute little uniforms.
Squeakers.
Right? Same. Okay. Would you rather be featured on a stamp for bravery or have a national park named after your service dog?
Wait, what was the first one again?
Be featured on a stamp for bravery. So like your face on a stamp.
Or a national park named after my service dog.
Yeah.
Probably the national park after my service dog. I could care less about my face
Yeah.
on a stamp.
Me too. I don't want my face on a stamp.
I mean, like, I don't really want everyone like, I know who this is, or like, who the freak is that chick?
Yeah, like what the heck? There's a random chick on my stamp.
How many people use stamps anyway?
Yeah. Well, yeah, it's true. It's true. Okay, so would you rather rescue someone only using items found at a 4th of July yard sale or in a parade float toolbox? So you have to rescue someone, and you only have the tools either from a 4th of July yard sale or a parade float toolbox.
I think there's more options from the yard sale.
True. Yeah.
In the parade float toolbox, I mean, it's probably gonna be more like tools, maybe some streamers, maybe some extra candy.
Yeah. Screwdriver.
I think I'd go for screwdriver. Maybe some tape. I think
Yeah.
I'd go for the yard sale. Like, I mean, there'd
Yeah.
be clothes that like maybe I could rip up and like use as bandages.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think I'm gonna go with the yard sale.
All right. Now, would you rather bring aid to a
Wait,
town?
what about you?
Oh, I would also choose the yard sale. There could be so many things. There could be tools in at the yard sale.
There could be a
No.
first aid kit.
Right? Who knows what people get rid of? All right. Okay, so would you rather bring aid to a town hit by a natural disaster from a helicopter, or would you rather deliver the supplies on horseback to a remote mountain community? Oh yeah,
Mostly just 'cause
hands
I want to be
down.
in the mountains and on horseback.
Right? I'm like, okay, yeah. Whatever it is, horseback in the mountains. Yes.
A helicopter would be cool though too, because I don't know. I think helicopters are cool.
Yeah. I mean, I'd do either one, but I would prefer the horseback one.
Yeah. Have you seen the video of the guy who didn't duck and was walking towards the helicopter?
Yeah.
He didn't die, but it cleaned up, it cracked open his skull.
Yeah, no, thank you.
Yeah, that's why you don't walk just straight up. You
Yeah.
lift your head.
Or the guy that went to celebrate being rescued and he jumps off the helicopter or like puts his hand up coming out of the helicopter, chop both of his hands off.
What?
Yeah, true story. He gets out and is like, yeah. There goes his hands.
Freak. You thought you were going unscathed, buddy. What? That's scary.
Right?
Yeah, but horseback, 100%.
Oh yeah. And then I have one more. Oh well, okay, now this is
but horseback, and we're talking about getting chopped in the head.
Yeah.
Chopped in the head. Oh my gosh.
right.
Okay, anyway, sorry.
Okay.
Last one.
Okay, well no, that's it. Here's the other category. Okay. So I'm gonna say 3 facts and you have to tell me which one is fake. All right.
Okay.
Fact or fluff. Okay. Chickens can remember over 100 faces, both humans and animals. In Australia, there was once a kangaroo sworn in on the police force. Or there was a project in
believe
World
that.
War II named Project X-Ray, where they attempted to use bats carrying bombs to drop into Japan.
I'm gonna go with the bats.
You would
Bats is
think,
fluff.
but no, actually, there has not been a kangaroo sworn into the police force. They
Oh, that's
actually
so
did
stupid. They should.
have, right? Yeah, but it never actually like they never carried out the plan, but there was like a whole project dedicated to trying to train bats to drop bombs into Japan.
So what were they gonna do? Like drop a million atomic bombs? Like mini atomic bombs?
I don't know.
I think that is the worst thing that has ever been created.
Yeah, which good thing they didn't, because it sounded like they're like, yeah, actually, no, that was a stupid idea.
That's a terrible idea. Gosh.
Yeah,
I don't know a lot about bats, but that sounds like a terrible idea.
right.
But
Yeah.
okay, well, I've got a couple just short category quick questions. Okay. Favorite war movie?
So I have two. I said Behind Enemy Lines. I like that movie. And Captain America: The First Adventure, because
Captain America.
I do love me some Captain America.
Okay, I can't argue with that one.
Yeah.
I think my favorite is Hacksaw Ridge.
Oh,
I
that's
really
a
like that
good
one. I
one.
don't know if you've seen that one.
I've seen most of it. I think I didn't quite finish it, but I have seen some of that.
Yeah, I do really like that one. I think I want to do that story sometime. The story of Desmond.
Oh, yeah.
Because he
That'd be
rescued like
awesome.
75 people or more. I don't
Yeah.
know how many it was.
Yeah.
Actually, but he rescued a lot of people, both Japanese and
Yeah.
American.
Way to go.
I think that's my favorite. Okay, this one's kind of off the rails a little bit, but if you were to ride an animal into battle, what animal would you ride?
So I think I would ride an African elephant.
Why is that?
Because they're big. They have tusks, and one, it'd be cool to ride the elephant. But you're bigger. Everyone, you can just go on and like have them break things down, stomp people, squish people. With all the animals on the planet today,
Yeah.
I think an elephant would be a bull African elephant. I would
Yeah.
ride.
Honestly, that's probably the best. I mean, that's a smart pick. I don't know. I don't know if I would say it's the best pick because like we're not gonna ride any animals into battle, but like
Right. I thought
And
it was a pretty
like-
smart pick.
no, that's a really smart pick. Like Africa, um, is one of the only continents or only continent that I'm aware of where you're not safe in your vehicle from animals.
Yeah.
Like a rhino can flip your vehicle, an elephant easily can flip your vehicle. Like you're in danger. Those animals are so big that you're not safe in your vehicle. We're used
Like
to
those
that in the
Cape
United
buffalo.
States.
Yeah.
We're used to being safe in our vehicles in the United States from like even from like bison and stuff.
Yeah.
And brown bears and black bears and elk and moose were safe generally from them.
So that's
bull
why I would
African elephant's a
choose.
good choice.
Thank you. Thank you. And
Solid
yours?
choice. Honestly, I didn't really think about this too much. My first thought was an elephant, but I was like, she's probably gonna pick an elephant, so I should probably pick it. Well, they're my favorite animals. Like obviously.
Yeah. See, that's why I also have a backup just in case. But I was like, oh, I'll go first, and then
Yeah,
go.
no, you go first. And then, yeah. I think my second choice would be a silverback mountain
Oh,
gorilla.
that would actually be like a really good choice.
Yeah, I think just mostly because of their just brute strength.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they have opposable thumbs, so they can do all the things that I could do. They can
Yeah.
use tools. They're smart.
That would actually be pretty smart.
Yeah. What was your backup?
A bear, because I mean,
Force tech.
yeah. Just like a brown bear. Well, like I was like watching this like Tanner play his video game or whatever, and it was like the guy riding a bear, and I'm like, yes,
Yes.
that would be
That's
awesome.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Okay, well, that's everything for our first episode.
Yes, I think it was great.
I think it was great too. And if you enjoyed, please follow us wherever you listen to your podcasts. And leave us a review because it'll
please.
help us out. I
Yes.
don't know how, but it will.
Yes, and thank you so much for listening.
Yep.
And hope you
And
enjoyed.
we'll see you next time.